So let's switch it up and not talk about the unfolding genocide and the ridiculous misdirection of getting mad at students for being mad at the genocide. And let's talk about something a lot more fun, like restricting bodily autonomy for women and pregnant people, and just making sure that more people die, and completely fucking our medical system and bureaucratizing. I mean, if you thought that the American medical system couldn't become more bureaucratic, welcome to the post-Roe world. Um, so there is a case before the Supreme Court that was argued a couple weeks ago. The court is currently split on that, and the decision will come down, I believe, at the end of June. And that is a case deciding whether Idaho's anti-abortion law violates federal law that states that you must admit anyone, private hospital or public, you must admit anyone to your emergency room, that it is an abdication of your duty. See, don't ever say the American medical system doesn't have a floor, okay, or morals. You have to help someone if they come to the ER, unless now they're pregnant. Now, the Biden administration has sued Idaho, and so the Supreme Court is basically, again, deciding on this, whether or not this draconian anti-abortion law can take effect. Um, that law, for a reminder, allows abortion only if the life, not the health of the mother, is at risk, which is a really fun phraseology to parse. No, like, wouldn't you say that the lack of health or losing your health would ultimately result in you losing your life? Oh, ye of little semantics. Like, somehow this is a thing. Um, the state's attorney general has argued that its abortion ban is consistent with federal law that requires emergency rooms to protect an unborn child in medical emergencies. This law is the EMTLA, or EMTALA as I'm calling it, and it was introduced decades ago because private hospitals would dump patients onto county or state hospitals, often because they didn't have insurance, said Alexa Colby Molinas of the American Civil Liberties Union. So the Biden administration has actually been tracking the treatment of pregnant people and patients in ERs. What's been happening, how they've been actually turned away at record, like at unprecedented levels, obviously since in 50 years. And there are some instances, they now have, the AP basically got access to some records and some reports that the Biden administration had gathered, and that has resulted in things like the Houston Sacred Heart Emergency Center, this front desk staff refusing to check in a woman after her husband asked for help delivering their baby that September. She miscarried in a restroom toilet in the emergency room lobby while her husband called 911 for help. Fun. What about this? A Pearson Memorial Hospital in Roxborough, North Carolina, told a pregnant woman who was complaining of stomach pain they would not be able to provide her with an ultrasound. The staff failed to tell her how risky it could be for her to depart without being stabilized, according to federal investigators. While en route to another hospital 45 minutes away, the woman gave birth in a car to a baby who did not survive. Now, there's many, many more examples of this, but it is important to know that a lot of these pregnancies are, some of them are term, but some of them are early, and some of them there are pregnancy complications clearly, right? But because these states, including Idaho, are so scared of being litigated or being slapped with fines or being, I don't know, imprisoned by some, Yahoo who tortures them for like a million years, like in that Argentine movie, The Secret in Their Eyes. It's a very good movie. But you know what I'm saying? Like some weirdo, like what happens, They would rather have a woman miscarry in a bathroom or in their car or bleed out or go into sepsis or all of these things, basically putting her life in danger and potentially, although in many cases, again, the fetus is not viable, but potentially literally saving this child's life if you think that the fetus is a life. Like, it's very unclear. Like, is it not a life if I sort of like reject it, or I didn't, like if a life is born and I didn't see it, is that no longer a life? But so they are more afraid of the states and the attorneys general and these psychos than they are of the federal government. The federal government is trying to change that a little bit. One thing I wanted to just point out is that a lot of these pregnancies are obviously, like I was saying, not viable anymore. And here is the Solicitor General for the Biden administration before the Supreme Court, basically arguing like, hey, this is what's going on. You're allowing women to be their lives and their health to be put in jeopardy unnecessarily because you're turning them away at ERs.
Tragically, in many of these cases, the pregnancy is lost. There's not going to be any way to save that fetus because a woman who has PPROM at 17 weeks, there is no medical way to sustain the pregnancy to give the fetus a chance. So in that situation, what Idaho is doing is waiting for women to wait and deteriorate and suffer the lifelong health consequences with no possible upside for the fetus. It just stacks tragedy upon tragedy.
Tragedy upon tragedy. Sadly, though, the Supreme Court had no idea what pre-prom is and was like, oh my God, okay, weird witch. I don't know what you're talking about. Obviously, the conservative justices, again, want to uphold Idaho's rule that allows for things like turning away pregnant people in medical emergencies. Pre-prom is when amniotic fluid is surrounding the baby. And that the membrane is basically ruptured. So the amniotic fluid is leaking. It's a leakage of amniotic fluid. Yeah, I looked it up. It's fine. There's a lot of different things that could be complicated about this. Oh, sorry if that was if people couldn't hear that. But anyway, she's basically saying a lot of these cases, the pregnancy isn't viable. Now, what the Biden administration is proposing is that these hospitals are actually fined because or they get their Medicare or Medicaid funding taken away. But it can take years for the fines to be levied in these cases, according to the AP, and the Health and Human Services Agency that enforces that law declined to share if the hospitals have been referred to the agency's Office of Inspector General for penalties. In other words, the justice is slow in this case. So I'm just bitching about the fact that this is what's fucking happening. And if you needed any more proof that abortion care is health care, look no further than ERs turning away women who have pregnancy complications. This has nothing to do with being so-called pro-life. It has nothing to do with saving, with family values, saving a baby, making sure the baby is unharmed. This is a pure cruelty. And it is wild to me how easy and how quickly women have become second-class citizens in the health aspect. I mean, if a fucking guy, I'm sorry, this is where like a lot of the men tune out because they're like, oh, women are evil. There was Margaret Thatcher and one other person I'm forgetting. Fucking, like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, look, if a man had to walk one fucking week, even a day, in the shoes of a woman trying to get adequate health care in this country, specifically reproductive health care, you guys wouldn't fucking last. I'm sorry, you wouldn't. And that's not to pit, people against one another, but Jesus fucking Christ, like, it's an epidemic and it's scary. And it is good to know that the Biden administration is doing one thing right on this. And Lord knows he has to convince suburban voters because a lot of people who are looking at his Gaza policies are like, I don't know if this person is so pro-life. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.